Welcome, everyone, to Gifts of the Sacred Feminine, the Empath's Journey. I'm Sharon Carne of Sound Wellness, and I'm here with Carmen Hansen of Chakramize. And this is a show where we get together once a month on the second Wednesday of the month and talk about what it's like or how to manage or what the symptoms are or just being in that space of highly sensitive. And many people are in this space, some not knowing, some acknowledging this space, and some not quite knowing how to manage it as it's expanding during these times of deep evolution. So, we're here with conversation and our own experience and maybe a little wisdom and heart space or a meditation or something to support you on this journey of being highly sensitive. So, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We also want to thank Ruth Anderson for asking us to be here on the Enlightened World Network. And we're just so delighted and honored to be a part of this brilliant network of holistic practitioners and great wisdom and all kinds of beautiful and powerful tools. And we have usually a special title for each show. And today, the title that came up over the week as Carmen and I were talking about the show today is Inviting the Quiet. Carmen, do you want to introduce the topic? Because this one kind of came through you in inspired way.
No, thanks, Sharon. Um, I've found that we tend to run from the cacophony, the extra energy, the so we turn our backs and we run. And I'm inviting us to actually turn around, face it, take 10 minutes of quiet space for yourself and face it and empower yourself within that shift that we're experiencing right now, rather than running away and being in the fight or flight mode almost, without even consciously knowing it. We're so busy doing our chores and checking our phones and beating our keypads on our computers, and all these things are very wonderful tools to have, and we have skipped over at times the quiet, the stillness, listening.
Yeah, and we also part of this is when the mind comes in with the chatter that it's so noisy at times that it inviting the quiet in whatever way really helps that listening to that heart's voice or the soul's voice. It's so important. I know it has been for me because for me that's where the heart of the matter is. We tend to use this as distraction, right?
Well, our brain is trained to recognize quote unquote dangers.
That's its job. Yeah.
So that's what its job is, and to warn us and to it. And if we could just say, okay, brain, thank you so much for protecting and sheltering me from some of the downfalls that I may have taken. And at this point, my eyes are wide open. I am aware of where I'm walking to. And I would like you to just calm down for a moment. So we can talk to each other, our brain in that manner. Now, some people have a really difficult time shutting down that itty bitty committee there
Yeah.
at the start.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying, Carmen, because this is so important and it's to me it's been part of my journey in who am I? Do I identify with the chatter here, which is mostly negative and very ego based, or do I choose to identify with the being who is listening to the chatter. Who is that being? And as over the years, as I have explored, who is that being? Where is it? How do I learn more about this being? How do I understand this being? Then I've found more connection, more quiet, being able to say, okay, as you're saying, thank you to the brain. You are not me. You are not me. I am the one watching you and making the choices. Not the brain doesn't know how to make choices. It can give you information that will help you make a choice, like pros and cons and all of those things. So what really makes the choice is the heart. Whether or not you acknowledge it, if the heart gets ignored in a decision, things just aren't going to work out the way they should or could. That I used the should or could words, Carmen. And those are other words that we get into that are very, very interesting. We started right into this conversation without introducing ourselves. So, should we take a moment to, just for those who are new, welcome to the broadcast. I want to introduce Carmen. So, let's take a quick segue and then we'll dive more in, a little deeper into this conversation because it's all about that quiet is your essence. It's you, it's the real you. So, anyway, Carmen, I am so delighted with this great friend of mine, Carmen Hansen, and that we can have these conversations together. She is an animal communicator and a brilliant one at that. Sound wellness practitioner. She's a shamanic elder. She has immense wisdom and a metaphysical teacher focusing on bringing love and light into the world. And her website is Chakramize. The link is in the post, so you can give it a click and find out more about Carmen and connect with her there.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. And I'm going to take a moment to introduce you. This is Sharon Carne. She's the founder, CEO. I think you're the floor washer, the everything for the Sound Wellness Institute and all the programs that are coming out now and you're developing. The level 3 practitioners courses seem to be thriving and gaining more speed. She's an international speaker, a musician, a master sound healer, a publisher, and I'm happy and pleased to have you as my friend. So thank you, Sharon. I
Mm.
just delight in these monthly musings.
Yeah, and it's something that I do too, Carmen, and thank you for the introduction. And I really feel that these musings, conversations, and nuggets of wisdom really are helpful to those who are looking for ways of understanding deeper. Because we've been taken out of ourselves, especially in the last couple of years. And this up here has been really amplified. And it's not who you are. So we want to go into that conversation of the purpose for the quiet. I believe, and for me, from my experience, has been to find who I am and to get more clarity on that who I am and where that who I am, that being that has the name of Sharon this time around, is where that being resides. I know it, and that for me, as I connect more and more and more with that essence of the real, what I call the real me, Carmen, I find that it sits in it, the energy in my body sits in the heart. However, the energy of this who I am is way bigger than the body and it's connected to everything. So that quiet space is where you communicate with that everything.
I just had a really cool visualization as you were speaking, and I just wanted to share for a moment. It's like we're in a reverse spacesuit. The
Huh.
physical is the suit, but we actually reside our true energetic being is outside. So we get to experience our world in this little meat suit and send back the information to the uh, etheric of occurrence that is actually our frequency, our individual being.
I love that perspective too, and it's taking me, and I still work on that perspective, Carmen, because I find for me that's a learning to, and as I identify more with the soul, the suit can be really distracting. However, one of the things that I'm learning is that this physical being, this physical me, is filled with wisdom. It's filled with lessons, it's filled with information. And that information helps me build or learn what my soul needs to learn. So that information, as you're saying, gets sent back out to the larger you, which is, whoops, sorry. I get too excited. My bowl wanted to speak here. That the bigger you, it wants to experience and learn. And the identifying with the body is where so many people are, and of course our experience of being in the body is interpreted up here, and then we believe that this is the real us, and it's not. And we had you had shared some information with me too that I really feel is important for right now, and the quiet is a place where we can see. And at the beginning you were talking about realizing what is, and often what is that self judgment when we're looking at ourselves, right? This is such an important concept, Carmen, and I'm so glad that you shared this with me, because I was in that place many years ago, and it's still, and I'm working with better, much better, as far as where I sit now with self judgment. However, it can be so pervasive, and things that we're experiencing these days, like change. Change is just the name of the game these days. It is just the way it is everything is changing. And so, in order to feel safe, so many of us, especially those who are highly sensitive, will try to hold on to whatever it is they can, whatever thoughts or ideas, whatever physical thing they have, to not let anything go, including the emotional stuff being held in this suit that it doesn't need to be there. That's part of the lessons. So I really, there's so many things shifting and changing. Change is always an opportunity. And it took a little while for me to shift that perspective, that change, which can bring self judgment and fear, not feeling safe, and all of those things, is an opportunity to go into that quiet, to have a conversation with your heart where that real you sits, and listen. We stay up here, which is noisy.
Yeah. And that golden ears, that listening for more than 5 seconds, can really bring a shift in perspective, or a knowledge, a deeper wisdom that you it wouldn't have occurred to you, because we're getting information from guides. We all have a guardian angel, and if that's all we have, that's pretty powerful. And I'm suggesting these days that we all have, you know, a few, a little entourage, as one of my friends puts it. My entourage. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. My tribe, my tribe, as well as my human tribe. So uh, to know that we're not alone in this ever, even when we're physically alone. We are not alone, in my opinion.
And can I share a couple of stories about this? Because I love this, the where this conversation is going, Carmen, because two of the things that I learned where I knew I wasn't alone. And one of them was, oh gosh, a few decades ago, where there was so much going on in our family. There was a transition. My mom was not well, and Ed's job was weird. And there was so much going on in our family that was bringing challenge and, of course, at that time for me, unbelievable judgment and chatter. And so I remember so clearly standing in the kitchen, chopping up vegetables, getting ready for supper. And this was so noisy. I finally just yelled to the universe in my head, why do we have to feel so much fear? Why do we have to feel so much fear? And immediately I got an answer. The thing is, why I knew I wasn't alone is it wasn't really the answer I wanted to hear. And I'm sure you've had some of these. And I thought, the first thing I thought, wow, I didn't expect an answer. I was yelling frustration and I got an answer. It's like this little being was sitting on my shoulder in a quiet voice trying to get through the noise. And it wasn't until I yelled the question where maybe for a microsecond I was in a space of listening and the answer was right there. The answer was to learn not to be afraid. And it shocked my system. This went quiet. And then I thought, thank you. It's not really the answer I wanted to hear, maybe a little sympathy, but thank you, because it knocked me into looking at things the way they are, which is one of the big points today. Looking at things the way they are without the judgment. It's just wiping out the eyes, opening them, and saying, oh, isn't that interesting? I've been judging myself for this. That's a perspective that doesn't really, it's this perspective of that acknowledging that judgment as information rather than as the emotional charge you've been locked into or may have been locked into.
Wow, that is, I love how you put that. I just, yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Sharon. Is there another one?
Oh, the other story. That one was one of the biggest ones. Oh, the other one was I have, you were talking about the entourage, and I have an entourage that I call my driving angels. So every single time I get into the car, I say a little prayer. I thank my driving angels for being here, and I ask that they help to keep this vehicle, my body, other people, and all animals on these roads safe from harm. And boy, do they do that well. And it's just automatic for me. Every time I get into the car, I run through that little prayer. And as I was getting into the car, usually I'm sitting behind the wheel before I say the prayer, or in the passenger even, I'll still say it. As I was getting into the car, um, in my head, I heard, be careful. And I thought, oh, thank you for that. I knew it was my driving angels because I was getting in the car. And I thought, okay, I will be careful. And driving down Crowchild, one of the main roads, there was a truck in front of me, a half ton, which had pieces of metal in the back that were not tied down. And with every bump, they were bouncing, and it was windy too. And they were long pieces of metal. So I thought, I'm a little too close to this truck. I remembered my message from my angels. I'm going to just slow down a little bit and go further back, give him more space. And as I created that distance and I got far enough back, the biggest piece of metal went flying out of the truck. And it would have hit my windshield if I had been where I was. It bounced on the road and then over. So thank God it didn't hit any other car. It just kind of bounced to the side of the road. There was enough inertia or energy in the movement. He was going, well, it's fairly quick speed limit on Crowchild Trail. And I thought, driving angels, You rock. Thank you. It was interesting. Just be careful.
Nice.
And that remembering that allowed me to make that choice. And then that could have been a different story if I had stayed where I was.
Certainly. Certainly. And I submit they still would have created a situation that you wouldn't have been killed, but you might have damaged the car.
Yeah, or damaged myself, and that would have been led to a whole other series of life lessons, you know. There's value in whatever choice you make. There really are no wrong choices. There are just choices you make.
Right.
And that wrong choices are a judgment again. It's a different lesson. And so I made a different choice to listen to them, and it was both of them powerful stories for me, and really gave me a strong connect or sense of connection to the beings that do surround us, and gratitude that they are there to protect us in those times when it is possible to do that. Some you can't interfere with a soul's journey. The soul is always going to have choices. However, I don't think they can't really directly interfere with lessons, I believe. However, they can give us so much guidance and support that when we ask for it can really help.
It can be a gentler lesson.
That's I've been asking for gentler lessons since the last two by four. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love those stories, and that loops back into inviting the quiet so
Yeah.
you can hear the wisdoms that keep you on an easier path.
And a path that's more connected with the real you, because that's part of the intensity and the importance of the journey, is to realize that this isn't you. This is an experience. This is a transmitter and receiver, is what the science is saying. This and the nervous system is a transmitter and receiver. It's not you. It has nothing to do with you. It's to be used by you, but you be used by the soul and the heart. And we tend to identify with the transmitter and the receiver, and it's
Or the calculator. It's a
yeah.
calculator. You know, it's a tool. It's a tool for us to um, use. You're right. Or that's my opinion as well. That it's a tool for us to use, utilize, um, assist, but not drive our lives.
It can't handle that. It's not built for that. The heart is
No,
built for that.
no, we tend to really paint ourselves into a corner if we let our brains drive.
Do we ever? Been there, done that, lots. Doing better now, because now I go, oh, hello, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Now I'm going to go into the heart. I'm going to take a
Yeah,
few breaths, and let's go into the quiet and hear what the heart has to say.
let's go into the quiet. So part of that, like our last discussion was grounding. So part of that is getting nice and grounded and feeling that connection with nature, with the whole collective consciousness, with our neighbors, um, with our tribe. Getting that feeling of, okay, I don't have to run into the crowd. I can be standing here off alone and still never be alone. And does it matter who's looking at you and judging that you have a strange shirt on, or your hair is messy, or that's my experience, or um, uh, your opinions are not valid. Your opinion is as valid as anyone else's. It's an opinion, and the other people that perhaps don't have the same opinion, they have an opinion too. We're all sitting on this global circle, and we might be this far apart, or we might be a whole world apart, like the whole width of the world apart. And so we see different things just a little bit. even just a sliver changes perspectives. So I and judgment on others to me is self-judgment. If we're looking and we're pointing, oh, da da da, there's three pointing back at you. So really, isn't that what we're doing? We're noticing what we dislike the most about ourselves, and perhaps we stifle it very successfully, but we notice what is most um, we would like to move it or shift it about ourselves in someone else. I've noticed that for me, the my discomfort with someone making a plan with me and then changing it last minute. And when I noticed it, you've got to see it before you can shift it. So, oh man, that makes me so mad. It used to be, "Arr!" And a trigger for me to go off into a stormy place mentally. And now I just go, okay, well, I can handle this. And yeah, okay, well, I'll take the night off, or we're not going to do that this afternoon, or that's awesome. I think of other scenarios that might be helpful that have changed because I'm not driving somewhere, because I live in the country. And so that, uh, I mean, less traffic, so less, but there's more animals on the road. So those types of things come up. For myself, when I'm driving, I think of my vehicle, and it's a little tiny car. I think of it as a big snowplow. And I just say, okay, all you animals off to the side, stay off the hard surface. I don't want to hurt you. You don't want to hurt me. So and lately there's been, of course, it's springtime. And so there's a lot of deer movement and herds of deer. And I see them just at the edge of my lights. I slow down and they are just leaving the road surface, or they stop, they don't come. So I'm like amazed at how effective for me that particular visualization is as I send it out. Like, stay safe. I love you, little deer, and whoever else is wanting to cross our hard surface, because I call it a hard surface for them. I don't understand road, so I call it a hard surface, and that's been effective for me.
I so love that, Carmen. The hard surface and the idea of the snowplow to give them lots of space to move off the hard surface so that they'll be safe and you'll be safe. And the idea of the three fingers pointing back when you're pointing is such an important concept, because this is something I learned too many years ago in that transformation of viewpoint. And also, this transformation of viewpoint about the self judging others is actually self judgment, is an important concept to get, because it opens the door to the quiet and inviting the quiet. I feel one of the things that can do that. Um, Decades ago, when I started seeing how awful this was with judgment, I made the choice to become a student of my thoughts. And so when I say I am a student of my thoughts, then I am an observer who is just noticing the reality of what's going on here. And then as I begin to notice it, it took a while, but it became quieter and quieter. And as it became quieter, I became more and more connected to my heart. And noticing it from that perspective of neutral view, the neutral view, so that you're not judging it. You're just going, oh, I notice that my thoughts are very judgmental about that person I just passed, or about this happening in my life, or this triggered my own emotional response. That's interesting information. And can I make a different choice that would serve me better? One of the most important things to me is to walk the journey my soul is here for. And all of this gets in the way big time as part of the lesson. So I am grateful for noticing this and all of the buttons that get pushed and all of the judgments that pop in there so that hopefully most of the time I can notice what is, take that neutral view and make a choice.
Make a
Is
choice.
that really where I would like to be?
Is
Mm.
that what I want to focus on? Is that what I want to create in this world?
Hmm.
Is more.
Speaking of that sound, I want to make another point, Carmen. Yeah, totally.
Bring it on,
Is that
sister. Bring it on.
because this is working with sound all my life. I've been a musician all my life, and then working with sound for decades has given me deep reverence and deep respect for the power this energy has. Sound is vibrational energy, it goes through you. Sound goes through you, including the sound of your voice. Your voice is created inside of your body, surrounded by amplification chambers in the neck, in the rib cage, and in the skull that amplifies the actual sound of the voice. And then your words, including the energy behind them, gets sent out on a sound. Sound is a carrier wave for your words, your thoughts, and your intentions. Now, when you're making an audit, well, I think it works with thought too. I was going to say when you do an audible sound, you move every molecule of your body with every sound that you make with your voice. So the energy that is traveling on that sound then moves every atom of your body, every molecule of your body with that energy. If there's some stickiness there or some resonance between an experience you have had that's sitting in your body, an emotional experience, and the resonance, the sound of your voice, it's going to get sticky and you just might notice it. So when I realized that deep in my heart, Carmen, I made the decision I am going to take responsibility for my voice so
Hmm.
that I am going to be more responsible for its tone, the thoughts, the energy, the emotional energy that travel on that sound wave is not going to feed my body. Sound is food for your nervous system, whether it's good food, bad food, or junk food, or superfood. Then you have a choice for how you can feed it, and your voice is the main food for your body.
Ah,
Much better. Thank you.
I am in total agreement with that idea. I've been contemplating why we call it spelling.
Oh, this is so interesting, Carmen. Say more.
The To me, it's created and I'm very familiar with English, and I'm a little familiar with French, and I have a few words in Spanish. So I've noticed that especially English, because we've pulled language from or words from every other language, and we've made it part of our um, vocabulary. And commonly, there's words like, "Oh, that's awesome," and we're talking about a dress. Uh, okay, well, I beg to differ that a dress can be awesome. It can look fabulous. It can look beautiful. But we tend, especially in English, to want to exaggerate things when we want to really tell people that we're excited about it.
Okay, I can see myself here. Thank you. Keep going.
And so, or, oh, I've just had a crazy day. What are we inviting more
Ah,
of?
mm-hmm. Crazy.
Crazy. And mourning. Good morning. What are we mourning?
So what do we say instead of good morning?
Well, I say good day.
Ah, I never
Welcome,
thought about that.
welcome, sunshine. And people are kind of shocked that I have been practicing reducing that word in my vocabulary. Also, miss. If we are a single woman, what do they call us? Miss. What did we miss? What are we missing?
Mm.
And I'm like, little examples are popping up all over for me that are like, oh, I mean, if I say, oh, I know, Sharon, what am I doing? I'm using know. And know puts up a block that your body doesn't care how it's spelled, puts up a block, another block in the wall, so I don't hear the rest of your conversation. Oh, I know, Sharon. Isn't that the craziest?
Oh, gee. Wow, Carmen, I think we need to do a show on just spelling. This is
Well,
very
we came up with a
interesting.
lot of examples. I mean, and that's kind of off our topic. So I digress. I apologize, but I think you're right. I agree that you're right. That's another one. I think. Why? And I use that one a lot. I think. Okay, I think. Does that mean I'm sure of it? That's kind of like try. Do or do not.
Yeah.
There is no try.
Yeah.
There is no active trying. It's just an excuse to not actually do or do not. Really. I'll try. Is that powerful? No. I'll do that. And if you don't do it, you'll say, well, I didn't get to it today, and I will reschedule it for another in my brain. So try is a big trap for me. And I've really, one of my friends said that's my motto. There is no try.
Yeah. It's been a good one for me too, Carmen, in actually accomplishing things. Because when you try means you could or you could not, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Are
it
you
is.
actually going to do it or do not? If you do it, if you do the action to go forward on that and it's not successful, oh well, do it again. Or if you do not do the action, oh well, you could do it later.
Mm. Yeah, responsibility comes underneath that, doesn't it? And
Right.
responsibility is a soul quality, I believe. Integrity and
Mhm.
responsibility belong in
Yeah.
the heart. Hmm. Yeah. Wow. Can we segue into ways to invite the quiet?
Sure. So for me, the a lot of distractions I've noted in my lifetime how in the past I've tended to drown out those outside influences by getting busier. So working hard physically. In the past, not recently, but in the past, I was always had a physical job. I was lifting things, pulling things, fixing things, bang, whatever. So that was a hard physical job, and that could also look like working out and sweating yourself up in a gym. So really distracting yourself physically, staying busy by piling yourself on with things that you have that are serving your family. So uh, I'm a mom and I'm making sure that everybody's taken care of. It's almost like you become a helicopter mom, landing wherever you're needed at a moment's notice, and um,
Been
uh,
there, done that. Yep.
and and like using your own cup to fill someone else's. However, you're not refilling your own, so that can really drain the adrenals, drain your whole energy. There's lots of people that spend their whole lives people pleasing. It's a people pleaser thing. So
Hmm.
that's a really small ego based action in my mind. And I mean, you could volunteer for things, you can help your family. I'm not saying don't do those things, but I'm saying is what is your motivation for
Yes.
flying in and Like I've seen moms, their kid is struggling with something and they fly in and fix it for them. What lesson is that for the child? They're not good enough. They're not doing it good enough. They're not succeeding. What lesson is for that small being that we're training? They can't
Hmm.
do it themselves. They
Yeah,
need
this is
mama,
so important,
you
Carmen.
know.
And I know even in my own experience from quote rescuing, when I'm sitting in this pattern myself, rescuing the kids, even when my oldest son was a teenager, I was doing that pattern with him. And he just said, Mom, quit rescuing me. I want to learn how to do this for myself. And I thought, wow, thank you. I needed that. Okay, I'll be here if you need me. And
And
that
that
was
was,
huge.
and that's, I believe, how we should bring our people up, bring our small people up, is to allow them to explore how they need to explore. Now, we don't want them falling down, getting seriously injured or stuff like that, or getting, encountering with a big person that wants to do them harm or blah blah blah. We don't want
Mhm,
those things to happen,
mhm.
and we tend to get afraid. So afraid, oh, my precious little one needs to be, totally encapsulated. Remember, they have their own team. So that's the working hard aspect. I would work hard and then I would play hard. So I would use alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, loud music, fast cars, or driving my car fast. I didn't have like a sports car, but I had, I was reckless. And that would be also in the adrenaline sports. So if I would have had a chance, I would have jumped out of a plane or these types of things. The bungee jumping, and those things leave us in a space where we get that adrenaline. It's such a rush and we want more. It is like a drug, and
Mhm,
it
I
is a drug.
agree. Mhm.
Adrenaline is a self-produced drug.
Yes.
I mean, we can artificially inject it as well, but that is a self body drug to get us into fight or flight. And that's the thrill. Scary movies, anything like that. So all these things serve to distract the senses from being in the quiet.
Mhm.
So more recently, I've invited a quieter, more reflective um, way of life in. I don't have Well, I do have a TV. However, it's not connected to any networks or anything like that. So I can watch a movie if I want to. Um, but what's happened is the commercial aspect, the commercials breaks are gone away. So that constant training that we need a Coke or McDonald's is the best fast food option, or you know all the commercials, which I leave them to their. I mean, they've found a very effective way to sell us stuff
Mhm.
and to keep their viability alive. And the business model is every year you have to grow. So if you go on a business model, then it's a true disappointment if you don't show any growth.
Mhm.
So I rarely have the music on. There's times where I turn on my music, but I have I have my own playlist. So there's no commercials again. The exception is I listen to hockey games on the radio.
Ah.
So that inter that I get that constant barrage of exciting commercials during that time. But so a lot of people might be wondering how I fill my space. Well, that it is mine to fill, and I want to distinguish that because now it's mine to fill. And for me, I sing a lot, and I'm grateful every morning. I even sing to my coffee, thank you, coffee, and just, put that vibe because it's water. And as you know, water is affected highly by those vibrations. So if I'm like, "Ugh, I can't get my damn coffee fast enough," what
Whoa,
what is going on in that
that goes right not only into your own cells, that goes right into the coffee. So then you just perpetuate that. I love the idea. I love my coffee. I look forward, thank you, coffee.
thank you for my coffee sweet, thank you for the world to greet, thank you, yeah, I do
Oh,
rhyme, that's what I do, and
oh,
and
so
just
cool.
as you know, that's my little thing, and not everybody is comfortable with that, but you can think it. And you had mentioned earlier you think that the thoughts are as powerful. Well, I had a nonverbal client that told me that when I did a totally silent toning of her chakras, it was more powerful to her than when I used sound.
What a powerful learning, Carmen. Wow.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So interesting. Now, I suggest that we are very soothed by most by these types of sounds, so it's helpful. But for her, because she's non-vocabulary, she has um, not as her mouth, her brain works great, but her mouth won't express
Hmm.
what is she wants to express. So and you could also, I mean, fill your space. What else could we fill our space with rather than, I mean, if I wasn't going to sing, you could use the frequency of a singing bowl, tuning forks, a drum. There's YouTube is filled
Hmm.
with different frequencies that you can play.
Mm-hmm.
There's I know that Sound Wellness puts out the Woodland song, which is birds and water, and that's what it is, an hour of birds and water, basically. And I put it on a loop and do it for like 3 hours. If
We
I'm just
have,
walking out. If I wanted to fill my space with that,
yeah, we
there's
have
also
some other
time.
options on our YouTube channel too, Carmen.
Oh, cool. So, and I haven't explored those. So, I mean, and on YouTube, you'll find if you start putting frequency, if you say 528, I want to listen 528, which is happens to be the frequency of the heart. And so if you wanted to tune into that for half an hour or whatever, okay, uh, you will get a whole list after that of all kinds of different frequencies. 111, which is an angel frequency. You know, um, I've never found a 64, and I haven't looked because they've only given me triple digit ones, but 396, turning grief into joy.
Mm-hmm.
852 is final clearing, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I've been listening to 417. It's an ohm track,
Mm.
417 hertz, which is in the solfeggio frequencies too. It's all about releasing negative energy. So, as a highly sensitive person, for when I'm out or when I'm feeling inundated a little bit with the world's negative vibe, then I'll just sit quietly and put that on, or I'll do a word puzzle or something while this is in the background, and just let the energy flow, and shift that for me. And there's another one I found, Carmen, that I love was prayer to the Divine Mother, which is a mantra of all of the names of the divine feminine. So it's Kuan Yin, it's Lakshmi, it's Mother Mary, it's, oh my, that one for me too, when I need to just connect with the heart. Wow. Yeah, sometimes I'll meditate with that track, Prayer to the Divine Mother, in the background, and just allow the quiet. Because even though it's a sound and there's singing, there's a bowl, then it creates that sense of quiet. And when it's done, then my mind is in that space and listening even more. It's so fascinating.
That sounds delicious.
It is. It's so cool. Both of them, for me right now, are where they resonate for me right now. Both.
Mhm. So I also wanted to point to the gentler self-talk. I mean, we're constantly going around, oh, that was stupid, or oh, I should have done it this way. Why didn't I do it? All these self-judgments. Oh, I could have, yeah, da, da. So shoulda, woulda, coulda. Well, woulda is a little different, but shoulda and coulda are so judgmental.
Yeah.
They're so, hmm, maybe perhaps you could just say, I didn't do it that way, and next time I will. That
Mm,
creates a more empowering uh, idea than I should have baked that a different way.
love that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, I mean, to get curious about what we're actually saying, to really delve into what we're actually creating with our spelling on ourselves. So, and listening, when you're in that, say that 417 goo that you were talking about, listen. Oftentimes we want to talk.
Yeah. And who are we talking with? If you're talking with your heart or your soul or those who are present to support your journey, guides, angels, all of those, just quietly asking a question and then listening for the answer. I do that a lot, Carmen. And sometimes the answer doesn't come right away, but I get an answer. But I have to remember to listen. If I get too busy in here, I can't hear the answer.
Yeah. So that's what we're creating, the quiet, the uplifting sounds, the even quiet. Sit under a tree and just listen. What's that tree trying to tell you? I'm a meat tree. That's a hey,
A tree.
what can us two trees talk about?
Oh, I love that. How fun. I'll do that with my apple trees.
Yeah. So what else? How else can we create the quiet? I would say that we've covered quite a few. Invite the listeners. Well, this is recorded, so we're not going to be able to directly work with you, but put in your comments, and we'll talk about them next month when we rejoin this conversation, because we love uh, audience participation. We love the loves and likes. Thank you so much for being here for us. So, what's our time looking like?
Oh, I think we're about complete, Carmen.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I have three more pages of thoughts and notes. So, we'll have to table those and put them to the next, a different show.
We can definitely do that. I think we can also bring in even more tools for inviting the quiet. I think this is a really important topic, especially for these days when there's so much outside noise.
I agree. And inside noise, our
Yeah,
itty
that
bitty,
too.
our itty bitty chatter, because we react with our brains
Mhm.
with the input from.
Yeah, we sure do. Awesome. Well, thank you, my friend. What a great conversation, always.
Thank you, my friend. And I feel like I dominated the conversation today. So,
Oh,
uh,
I think we both gave what we needed to give. It's always good. Always.
oh, it's awesome. We always have such great conversations. If it only satisfies us, I guess. But there is a few people that are gaining some wisdoms from.
Yes.
I've actually had a couple of my friends go, "Oh man, that was good."
Oh, fabulous, Carmen. So, thank you, all of our listeners. We
Hmm.
love to hear from you. So, add some comments below the video or connect with us on our websites. We would love to continue conversations with you or invite you and have you join us with
Mhm.
more of our shows.
Oh,
So we'll
yes.
say goodbye for today, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with our Positively Connected Animal Show.
Yes, and we're working with, what's his name?
Ditcher.
Ditcher. We're working with Ditcher, who happens to be a new dog in Sharon's extended family, her son or her daughter.
Our
Her
son's
son.
found, he's our grand dog.
He's a grand dog, a new grand dog, and he's
Yeah.
got some things that us as people would like to shift. So,
Yeah. So come and join us in 2 weeks, everyone. Bye for now.
okay, awesome. Bye. Have a great day.